And in this video, we're going to take a look at some recently released information out into the public domain concerning the plot to kill Tucker, Tate and Rolfe.
Welcome back. It was a crime which pushed everything else off the front pages. 3 men, all known criminals, found shot dead in the Essex countryside. It was a cold-blooded, professional killing. The victims had many enemies, but which one wanted them executed?
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some alternative suspects concerning the murders of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Firstly, I'm going to read a little part of the CCRC appeal document from a few years ago, which discusses the potential of a plot to kill Tucker, Tate and Rolfe and some alternative suspects. Issue 19. Request for further disclosure in relation to possible alternative suspects. The applicant submits that police intelligence from 1995 and 1996 suggested that Paul Edwards, Ray Sullivan and Michael Bowman were involved in a plot to kill Tate, Tucker and Rolfe. The applicants point out that Paul Edwards drove a Range Rover in December 1995. It is suggested that this may be the vehicle which was seen entering Workhouse Lane by Raymond Wright, and that shortly before the murders he had fallen out with Mr. Tucker. The applicants request disclosure of any new information that the Commission has obtained in that regard. So let's take a look back at that statement from Raymond Wright, where he describes seeing a Range Rover turning down Workhouse Lane at around 1850 on the 6th of December 1995. The following is the police statement from Raymond Alfred Wright, dated the 13th of December 1995. He states the following: I'm the owner of a Ford Escort motor vehicle, colour red. On Wednesday, the 6th of December 1995, my wife and myself attended a funeral, and as such we had left our young son at my mother's house in Pitsea. The funeral we attended was in Reigate, and I had to drop my wife and mother-in-law off in Hornchurch. After this, I carried on to Pitsea, where I picked my son up. The route that I would travel from Pitsea to Tulsant Darcy includes the A130 from the Sadler's Farm roundabout to the East Hanningfield turnoff. I do not know exactly what time it was that I picked my son up, but I am aware that I arrived home in Tulsant Darcy about 19:20 to 19:25 hours that evening. As I was travelling along the A130, I went through the Rettendon Turnpike in the direction of Chelmsford, when you come through the Rettendon village and into a de-restricted road area. The road then goes into a series of bends on a decline in the road. Because I'm a regular user of this road, I'm aware that on these bends there is situated a farm shop and a gun club on the right hand side of the road, and I'm aware that there could be vehicles waiting to turn right. As I entered this decline, I became aware that the vehicles in front of me had slowed down. This would have been around 250 foot earlier than I would have anticipated stopping. I slowly caught up with the vehicles in front, but I had to brake quite heavily in the end because I hadn't anticipated that any vehicle would be turning into the farm. I then stopped in the line of traffic, and I believe I was either 2 or 3 cars from the front of the line. I believe I was stationary for approximately 10 seconds when an oncoming vehicle left a gap for the vehicle that was turning right to cut across the traffic. As it did, I could see that the vehicle was a 4x4 vehicle, and because of the shape of the rear of the vehicle and the grille over the rear lights, my immediate reaction was that it was a Range Rover. I believe that the vehicle was dark in colour, and I think it was possibly green. I don't know why, but I think there were at least 3 people in the vehicle, and I believe there may have been 4. I was aware there was a driver of the vehicle who was in the dark, and a person who was sitting in the rear of the vehicle behind the driver's seat. This person, who I believe to be a man because of his size, appeared to be bigger than the driver. He was wearing a light fawn-coloured upper garment. As the vehicle started to turn, I got the impression that the person in the back looked over his shoulder in the direction of the Rettendon Turnpike. The vehicle then went into a farm track that I did not know existed. I then continued my journey along the A130, and because I wasn't aware of the farm track, I looked down and I could see the rear of the vehicle that had turned into the track, but I do not remember seeing the reflectors of any vehicles in front of it. I then continued my journey home. I believe the time that this incident occurred would have been between 1850 and 1900 hours, because it normally takes me about 30 minutes to travel home from there. I don't believe I was more than 2 cars behind the Range Rover, so when it turned I would have been no more than 30 foot from the vehicle. I had a clear and unobstructed view of the vehicle for a period of approximately 2 seconds whilst it crossed in front of me. Although that area of the road is not lit, there was lighting from vehicles coming from the opposite direction. At the time I saw this, the traffic was quite heavy, especially travelling towards Southend. I do wear glasses, but this is not necessary when driving. The man in the fawn-coloured garment in the rear of the vehicle appeared to be sat tight against the window and was even leaning with his right shoulder against the window. For me personally, the most interesting aspect of that police statement there is the description of the man in the rear of the Range Rover. The man described as wearing a fawn or light-coloured upper garment. And also the way he behaves, his mannerisms, the fact that this vehicle is now turning down the farm track towards where the Range Rover was situated, and this man just sneaks a peek over his right shoulder, looking back towards the Rettendon Turnpike. Would this be someone who was looking for someone potentially following that vehicle, or seeing if anyone had watched them turn down the farm track, bearing in mind the next day we are to find 3 dead bodies down the end of that farm track? I think that most people will at least entertain the possibility that the person in the back of that Range Rover could in fact be Michael Steele. The time period fits around 1850 to 1930 hours. It's the same kind of vehicle, similar kind of colour. Maybe the eyewitness Raymond Wright has, mistaken the back of that Range Rover for having light grills when actually it didn't. So could that actually be Michael Steele who is peering behind him in the back of the Range Rover there? The rest does seem to make a lot of sense. We have a driver, we have a man who is larger in the rear of the vehicle, which would be Pat Tate, and then we have the man in the fawn or light-coloured upper garment, also in the rear of the vehicle. However, where this gets a little bit more interesting is when we take a look at the statement of Darren Nichols, where he describes what Michael Steele and Jack Womes were wearing on the evening of December the 6th. And this isn't just described pre the murders or prior to the murders, but also after these murders had been committed. It's in his official statement under oath that he states the following, and bearing in mind this is after the murders had taken place. I drove into the car park of the pub and parked next to Mick's Toyota, which was on the left-hand side, and stopped the car. They got out and I was still sitting there. Mick had opened up his Toyota and he told me to get in, which I did. Then they were getting changed sort of thing. Mick was taking off his wellies and overalls off over his wellies, then slipping his shoes on. Boiler suit and wellies were put in the pickup truck, and Jack did the same, I think. And then we drove off. Mick drove the Hilux with me in the passenger seat, and Jack was behind us in the Passat. We drove past the Rettendon Lane, then Jack overtook us on the dual carriageway as we were driving slower. So it mentions there throughout Darren Nichols' statements that Jack Womes and Michael Steele were both wearing boiler suits. So unless Michael Steele was in the Range Rover driving down the lane and said, "Hang on a minute lads, pull over, I've just got to get my boiler suit on." I mean, really? I don't really think that that's a possibility. So who was this individual in the back of that Range Rover? And whose Range Rover was it? Interestingly, in a document which is titled Trial Points, which is basically a document where the defence are going through different aspects of the case and really trying to pick holes in the defence of Darren Nichols, there's an interesting paragraph here which states the following. Raymond Wright, statement 13th of the 12th 95, confidential witness. The Range Rover this man observes entering Workhouse Lane at 1850 hours on the 6th of December is clearly not the deceased's vehicle, as rear lamp guards are a feature of the vehicle he witnesses. What is significant is that there are 3 men of large stature who occupy the vehicle. The one sitting in the rear of the offside seat is wearing a fawn light-coloured top. Certainly an interesting point there, that there's a photo that exists by all accounts with Nichols and Steele together, and Nichols wearing a fawn light coloured top. Very interesting. Bearing in mind that really it's only Darren Nichols who's ever actually admitted having any involvement in these murders whatsoever. And then we move on to another suspect, according to that CCRC appeal document, Michael Bowman, the man who loaned Tucker, Tate and Rolfe the submachine gun, the man who was calling Tate and Tucker on the day of the murders, the man who in fact had served time in prison for shotgun offences prior to these murders taking place, and subsequently has served time post the murders for firearms offences. Also an individual who admits to the police that he has actually been in the Range Rover in the past. I will now play you the voicemails left by Michael Bowman to Tate and Tucker on the day of their murders, followed by my narration of his police interview.
Hello, Tom. Get the ring, mate. It's Mickey. Hello, Tom. Get the ring, mate. Mickey. Hello, Pat. You in, mate? It's Mickey. Can you give me a ring, mate, on 0973 396 781? Cheers, mate.
The following is a narration of transcripts from a police interview conducted on the 15th of the 2nd, 1996. The person in question who's being interviewed is Michael Bowman. This interview is being tape recorded. The time is now 11:09 AM on Thursday the 15th of February 1996, and we are at the interview room at Chelmsford Police Station in Essex. We are investigating the offence of unlawful possession of a prohibited weapon. A record of this interview will be made and may be given in evidence if you are brought to trial. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. I am Philip Bridge. I'm a detective constable with the Essex Police, and also present in the room is I'm Detective Constable 744 Michael Brown, also stationed at police headquarters. Mr. Bowman, if you could introduce yourself with your name, please. I am Michael Scott Bowman. Right, first of all, Mr. Bowman, when you were brought back from your home address this morning by a uniformed officer from Essex, which is PC 425 Montgomery, and this is quoted as you said it to him, you've been expecting this for the past few weeks. I was in the motor about 2 weeks before they were ironed out. I went out for a drink with them. Now I understand that you've had the opportunity to see that note in the officer's pocketbook and sign it, which you've refused to do, is that correct? No, I've not seen the note at all. I haven't read them. Right, were you not offered that note? Well, you did offer me a note, yeah, but, I mean... Right, so you've obviously confirmed that you were given them to look at. Well, I didn't read them, no. But you either didn't or didn't want to sign them. No, I didn't. Would you care to be given the opportunity again to see that note? Not at this stage, no. I'm not prepared to sign anything or talk about or discuss that at the moment. I want to know why I'm here before we go any further. Right, okay. So if you let me know why I'm here, then I'll let you know if I want to sit here and talk to you and listen to it. Right. Well, Phil's already said, hasn't he, Mr. Bowman, what you've been arrested for. The other part that we just want to put to you before we get into the full nuts and bolts of why you're here is that when you actually arrived at Chelmsford Police Station, that you were seen by the custody sergeant, and he's got, well, I should say I've got a copy of your custody record here under reference 454 of 96. And I'm reading from it when it's got the suspect's volunteered comment on detention, and you have been recorded as saying, quote, "If this is about the Rettendon business, I was expecting a visit anyway. I was in the car about a week before. Would you like to confirm that as well?" Yeah, I would. I can confirm that. Fine, okay, that's lovely. It's only just to get what was said recorded down, then we can just check the accuracy with you, if that's okay. Going back to what you were asking us, right, and bringing it up to date on the Thursday, the 7th of December 1995, last year, the bodies of 3 men were found in a Range Rover, which has got an index number of F424 NPE, and this was found at Rettendon Essex. And they'd been shot to death, and the identities of the deceased were later established as Craig Rolfe, Tony Tucker, and Patrick Tate. Now, the Essex Police launched a murder inquiry into their deaths, and during the course of the inquiry, it came to light that you knew the deceased. Yeah, that's right. I know of them. Yeah? Yeah. How do you know them? I know him from prison. I know Pat from prison. And I went and had a drink when he got released a little while ago. But I mean, I don't sort of associate with them. I know them. But I mean, it's not illegal to have friends, is it? No, certainly not. No. I mean, if this is what I'm thinking it's about, like I said earlier, the reason why I thought that maybe I'd get a tug is because I was in the car about a week or so before it happened. I went to a club with them in Southend somewhere. Club Art, I think it was. Club Art? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I had a couple of drinks at a couple of places with them. But that was it. I mean, I haven't seen them. Well, I was not anywhere near that place, mate, when it happened. I certainly wouldn't have been involved in their deaths because, I mean, I wasn't against them. If we could just deal with your knowledge of the people to start with, you're saying Pat Tate. Yeah, I knew Pat more than any others, really. Tony was all right as well. Didn't really know Craig. I mean, I sort of knew him. I wouldn't say I was close to them, close buddies and that, but I knew them. I was sort of, associated once or twice with them. Went out and had a drink with them once or twice. And what about Tony? How many times have you met Tony? At boxing. I used to see him at boxing quite a bit. With, Nigel Benn from, when he was at Tenerife and that. I used to go to Tenerife quite a lot and train. I knew Tony through that, really. I mean, out of the three of them, I would say that I knew Pat more. And I knew Tony was all right. But I didn't really know Craig that well. How many times have you met Craig? Don't know, probably 2 or 3 times, I think. Top whack. Do you remember under what circumstances? No, not really. No. I mean, I've been out drinking and seen them, When Pat got out, he had a little drink, had a little party when he first got out. He'd been out a little while, hadn't he? And did you go to that then, Mr. Bowman? Well, I went over and had a drink with him, yeah. I mean, I went out and had a drink with him. Do you remember where that was? I couldn't tell you. I'm no good in Essex at all. I'm liable to get lost. Not even the name of the town. No, somewhere Basildon way. Oh, so you knew it was Basildon? Yeah, like sort of that way, yeah, but I couldn't tell you where it was in that. And could you elaborate as to what was spoken about in the car earlier? Well, what I said to you, what I said earlier in the car was that I thought that when it was Essex Police, that it had something to do with this, because I thought that, I've got form for firearms, I've done 3 years for the shotgun, and I'm, I ain't fucking very nice. I thought that maybe, yeah, this is why I'm going to get a tug down. Now, look, I've been in the car. They've got to rule me out. And obviously, it's gone out of my head a little bit because I thought it would have been done a lot quicker than that. But, I mean, you've been in the Range Rover. I've been in the Range Rover, yeah. I think twice I went in the Range Rover, yeah. I sold my car. What sort of car was that? I had a Volkswagen, yeah. Or my girlfriend had a Volkswagen Corrada. And I sold it to a car front on the A13, which is the same car front they bought the car from, I think. Because I saw the Range Rover there, and they told me they were going to buy it. I said I wanted to sell the car, and he said, sell it to that fella. So would you just like to expand a bit? I know you said that you've been in the Range Rover twice. How has that come about? Well, I went over there and met them. I think I met them at a roundabout because I started to get lost. And I went out for a drink with them. Got in the car, the Range Rover with them. We went out. Went to, I don't know, I think it was Raquel's or somewhere like that. Went and had a drink. And who was in the Range Rover at that time? There was me, Tony, Pat, a couple of girls. I mean, we was all crammed in it. I think Craig was there as well. There's a couple of birds, their girlfriends that was with them. And we went out to a club in Basildon somewhere, and then we went somewhere else. I mean, I was drinking. I can't remember all the names of places, but I think that was about a week before it happened. Right, and how did you get to hear about the party? Pat rang me up, I believe. Pat phoned you? Well, Pat would have phoned me, or Tone. They both had my girlfriend's mobile phone number, so if you've gone through the phone bills, you'd know that they were ringing me from their house phones. So that's why I said I presumed I was going to get a pull down here somehow. So you spoke to them via your girlfriend's mobile phone? Well, yeah, that's how they used to get hold of me, really. Right, and did you have a phone number to get in contact with them? No. That was the only number. As I say, I live with my girlfriend. So you didn't have a mobile number for any of the 3 of them? No. Oh, I've got Pat's number. You've got Pat's. And I've got his house number as well. I think I've got Tony's number, his mobile. Right. I might have rung them once or twice as well. Have you been to their houses? I've been to Tony's house and I've been to Pat's house. Where was Tony living when you visited him? Big place, can't think of what it's called. Just by the car front where the car was sold. Would that be fobbing? Fobbing, that's it. Yeah. That's where if I'd ever met them, I'd go there, yeah. I mean, I've probably come over this side and met them probably 4 or 5 times. I've come over this end and Pat hasn't been out that long, I don't think, has he? He hasn't been out that long. But I mean, I sold my car because I wanted to get rid of the car. And then we had the stuff with Tony's. That was another time. He said to come over, go and see the fella at the car front and see if you can sell it to him. So did you arrange that on the day that you were going to try and sell the car? What were the arrangements with the people, you know, when you were coming down to Essex then? Well, he just said, come over. He said he knows the fella. He said, just take the car there. And who was the conversation with? Tony. With Tony? Yeah, I mean, you know. And who did you deal with at the car sales? Oh, I can't remember the fella's name. I really can't. Was he a mate of Tony's then? They knew him, yeah. I mean, you know, I didn't really have a good deal or anything. I just wanted to get rid of it for Deb, you know. We've got a little estate now with a dog. And how much did you get for the car? Oh, I can't remember now. I think it was probably about 7 grand. And who's Deb? Deb's my girlfriend. That's your girlfriend, right? My girlfriend, yeah. Have you ever been out with Debbie and yourself and the others? Yeah, we went out with Tony on his birthday. This is the first time we ever went out together, Tony's birthday. Debbie was with me and the girls with us. We went out for something to eat. There's an old fella, Carlton is it, I think? The security man or something? Do you remember where you went that evening? I can't remember now, the Globe or something. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm lost over here, I really am. Tell us, what birthday is this? This is, I don't know, late last year, I suppose. I don't know, a month or 2 months before this happened. And this was Tony's? Oh yeah, it's Tony's birthday, yeah. And was that the first time that you went with them? That was the first time I've been out drinking with them, because I knew him through my co-defendant Fisher. Fisher actually introduced me to Tone. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Well, I nicked last year over here with 2 kilos of amphetamine, as you know, don't you? You must know that. Well, we don't at the moment, Mr. Bowman, no. But so, you obviously know if you want to talk about that. Well, I'm telling you, yeah. Well, you know, there's no bollocks here. I mean, is there? I mean, you know, like, I'm here. I mean, I'm telling you what I know. You know, like, I ain't got anything to do with this fucking turnout. I ain't like, you know, it ain't me. I know them. I ain't going to do shit like this, mate. I mean, you know, I've had enough of all of it. Fisher and myself, well, I've got in a car with him and he wound up, well, he didn't tell me that something's in the car. And we got nicked for some amphetamine. There's 2 kilos in the panel of the door. So we wound up going to court. He's put his hands up to it. He said, you know, you told the police exactly what's gone on. I never knew it was in the car. And I was found not guilty by a jury at Chelmsford. This was last year, August, I think it was. That's how I knew. He introduced me to him a while back, about 8 months ago. Okay, so he's introduced you. Well, he introduced me to Pat and Tone, yeah. Well, Tony more than anything, more than Pat. I mean, I've seen Pat once or twice in prison. And what's the purpose of the introduction? Nothing. I mean, you know, I just know him. All right. Yeah. So you were saying, so, well, look, one way or another, all I was saying earlier was that, I mean, I want to know what I was coming here for, you know. No, I meant you went to Tony's birthday party. Right, yeah, we get here, we went there, we went out, yeah. And you were with who? With my girlfriend, Debbie. Carlton, Tony, Pat, there was 3 other girls there. Can't think of all their names and that. We went out and had something to eat in the Globe. Was Craig with you? Craig was there, I think, yeah, and his girl. I can't think of, well, unless you know his date of birth, that's when it was. Okay, so you saw them then, how many times after at Tony's? Well, yeah, well, I think I crashed at Pat's house one night as well. We were drunk then. Me and Debbie, we had a drink, you know. I can't think of what night that was. Can you remember the address? We sent flowers there as well. That's Pat's little actual bungalow, the one where he had all that ag before. Well, yeah, I can't remember. Well, he has got a bungalow, yes. Yeah, that's right. He was shot there before, wasn't he? That's right, yeah. That's the place, because I didn't like staying there. I didn't like fucking staying there, to be honest with you. I thought, cool, I'm only going to have a drink sitting in there like that, you know what I mean? Ain't exactly angels, that lot. I mean, I didn't really, I mean, you know, you don't realise some of these things going on. And some things that I heard that have been going on really in Basildon with that fucking lot. I mean, you know, it weren't up my street really, you know, I've got to tell you. What did you hear then, Mr. Bowman? Well, I mean, you know, as I say, some of the things I've heard, I mean, I don't want to go into that, but they weren't good people. Nice people, really. I mean, what's happened to them, mate? It fucking frightened the life out of me. I don't want to know, mate. I don't want to know none of it no more. So what was your reaction when you heard they'd been murdered? Shock, mate. Frightened the life out of me. Because he said he was going to give me a ring. He said, we'll go for a drink or something just before Christmas. Then all of a sudden, bang, he's gone. Heard it on the radio, I think. I thought, 3 fellas in a Range Rover? I was in that Range Rover and I thought, that ain't right. Frightened the life out of me. So you've been in the Range Rover? Well, that's what I thought. I thought, I've been in that car when I've been having a drink. I might have been fucking flopped on myself. Frightened the fucking life out of me. I mean, what do you do? So how many times have you actually been in that Range Rover? Well, I think I've been in it once or twice. And were you sitting in the Range Rover? I can't remember. Have you ever driven it? No, never drove it. Have you been in the front passenger seat? Well, I think so, yeah. I might have been squeezed into the back as well at some point. Just as a matter of formality, I'd appreciate if you could give us some help on this one. Patrick, Pat, Tony and Craig were murdered on the evening of the 6th of December, which was a Wednesday evening. I appreciate it was some time ago, but can you tell me where you were on that particular time? I'm not sure. Debbie will know. I can't remember, I really can't. Do you keep a diary or anything like that? No, Debbie would remember though, because I think I went, did I? Was I with my mum and dad? Her mum and dad? Her mum and dad come down? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think I had dinner with her mum and dad. I'm not sure that night. I remember that night I was at home. I think they come down to see me and I had Charlie. I had my daughter on the 6th that day because I was spooked, you know, it spooked me a little bit. And I think I kept her on Wednesday. Well, most Wednesdays. I want to just say to you that the bodies were found on the 7th, on Thursday the 7th. Yeah. Okay, in the morning. So what we're interested really is about the night before that. Right. I really can't remember at this stage. I can remember the day, I think, when I think like me, my daughter, my baby come over, I collected her about 4. I can't remember that day. Well, obviously, if as you were saying that you were obviously spooked when you heard the news that day, that does not give you an inkling that you think, "Cool, blimey, I've been with them that night, you know, I've been out with them," and like you give a bit of a clue as to what you were doing. Well, I wasn't out drinking the night before. No, that's not what I'm saying. But when you said you could have been out with them, well, what I'm saying is if I was in the car and I went out and actually had a drink with them, then I was in that car that they were assassinated in. It ain't hard to work out. It's frightening, isn't it, really? I mean, fuck me, I've got form and that, and I ain't no cunt, but I ain't, you know, like, I'm not going to be going out somewhere drinking and being roped into something like that with those lot because I know them. Well, can I just run over a couple of things about your own car that you were saying? At the moment, you're running what sort of car? We've got a little S. I can't drive. I'm on a ban. Oh, okay. Well, I'm on a ban at the moment. My girlfriend's got a little Escort estate we've bought, you know, because we've got a dog now, you see. And when did you get rid of your VW Corrado? Well, she'll know all the details, the dates and that, Debbie. My girlfriend, she'll know all the dates. If you want to get specific, I'll find out. But I think it was about a week or 2 weeks before this awful business happened. Okay, and when you sold the car, yeah, well, he gave me a check. Did he? Yeah. What, dated? Dated, yeah, he dated it and gave it to Debbie. It's written Debbie Ferguson's name, so that's about all confirmed. So how did you go about selling the car? Well, I said to Tone, does he know anyone for it? And he said, yeah, maybe, that he would buy it. So what did you do? Well, me and Debs, we'd drive it over there and he said he'd buy it and wrote out a check. It's lovely and we got something a bit cheaper. Because it's a bit too dear to run, plus I was on a ban, so... If you took the car over there, then how did you get back home? Oh, I can't remember. I think I got a lift, I think, and he gave me a lift back, one of them. Who's that? Oh, I can't remember, hold on. Yeah, I think I got a lift back. I think Tone dropped me back. In what car? It would have been a Porsche, 923 Porsche. Got a black Porsche. It's a black Porsche. Yeah, we used a Porsche. It was a while back. Can we move on a bit further now to basically for the reasons why you are here, shall we say? Right. We've obviously spoken to a lot of people, made a lot of inquiries, as you can imagine, in a murder, a triple murder. Right. And various things have come to light, and the one that comes to light that affects you is that you were requested to supply a firearm to the three of them. I was requested? Nah, that's wrong, no way. Who said this then? Bear with me, you were requested to supply an automatic pistol, silencer and ammunition. No, not me, no way, no way. And they were going to use it for their own purpose, which obviously was a unlawful purpose. Look, there's no way that I was involved in it. These people, you know, no way at all. As I've said to you, I've been over there a couple of times, had a couple of drinks with them, crashed at Pat's house once, landed me some clothes and bits and pieces. I ain't been doing no business with these people at all. Not on that side of things. I'm dead certain of that. I mean, I live in Kent. I ain't nowhere near this lot. You say you live in Kent, but it's Bromley, Kent you live, isn't it? Yeah. Which is not a million miles away from Basildon, is it? Yeah, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say to you is I don't do no business like this shit with these people. I don't do it. I mean, I may have gone out with them a couple of times, had a drink with them and that, but it's shocked the life out of me that this has happened. It's really livened me up, Governor, believe me. This has frightened the fucking life out of me. I certainly ain't involved in supplying firearms to them. I don't supply firearms to anyone. I don't fucking do it. I'm out of all that. Because I've got formed for firearms and that, it's not nice to be roped into things like this. I mean, I've been nowhere near it. Nothing like that. If I can tell you that it's not because of any previous convictions that you've been arrested for this matter, it does go a little bit deeper than that. And that is that on the date between the middle of November and the date that they got murdered, it suggested that you actually supplied the firearms of Craig Rolfe. We also believe that you met him at a service station. No, no way. Have you ever been to the Granada motorway services at Thurrock? Off the M25? Yeah. And when did you go there? I can't remember. Well, it's important that you try and remember. I mean, I can't remember. I think I've met along them services, one of them services. I think it's the fobbing one though, when I've met them. I haven't met Craig, I met Tony. What we're putting to you is that you had a meeting with other people as well at those services, and there you had a firearm. I had a firearm that was intended for Rolfe, Tucker and Tate. It's intended for them as in to loan to them. No way. No. It's not like that at all. It's just like I said to you, I'm prepared to sit here without my solicitor and tell you exactly what I know. I don't know nothing about what they've been doing. I haven't been involved with them at all in that way. I know nothing like that. But I thought that maybe I was going to get pulled in, you know, for one reason or another because of my form. And I know I've been in the car. So I thought maybe that, yeah. Just go back to this one supplying of the firearm. The allegation is that you met them at the Thurrock services and you travelled to the Eastern garages, the Five Bells garages where you sold the car. Yeah. And there the firearm was transferred from a vehicle into the Range Rover. No way. No way. So why should statements be made that are? Well, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why they're trying to work me into this. I don't know. Why? Have you upset somebody? Not that I know of. Not from any of that lot. I don't know. No. Is there anybody in that group who you've had a run-in with? Not really, no. Like I said, I don't really know them that well. I mean, not to stick it on me that way. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. And the firearm that you are alleged to have supplied was then taken to Pat Tate's bungalow, the one that you've been to. Yeah, I said I've been to the bungalow. And there it was examined. No. When you said earlier on, Mr. Bowman, that when you dropped your Corrada off at the garage, you obviously had a deal. You talk about selling the car, and you've got the cheque that's gone through Debbie's account. And obviously we can check that later on. And you seem to recall that you got a lift back in the black Porsche. What we're saying is that at that time you had the meeting at the services. On that day with that car, I had a machine gun with me at the Granada services. That's what you're saying? Yes. At that day, there was you in your Corrada, there was another person in another vehicle, and them in the Range Rover. And you then went down, all three of you. So you're saying to me that I've gone down there to sell my car with her, and I've taken a machine gun over there with me and sold it to them, is that right? I want to stop this interview right now, until my solicitor gets here. Because I mean, this ain't on now. I've come down here, I mean, you've dragged me out of my bed, in my dressing gown. Now you just hold on a minute. Can I just finish, please? I've told you exactly what I know. I've done no business with these people. I've asked them to sell a car for me, and he said that the fella would buy it. So to come on over. I've gone over there, had a couple of drinks with them, but I certainly, definitely did not sell him a machine gun. I'm not involved with these people in that way, and I'd rather talk to my solicitor now and get some advice and stop the interview. Okay, Mr. Bowman, as I said at the start, you are quite entitled and arrangements will be made. So the time now is 11:35. We're going to stop the interview so you can seek legal advice, okay? Thank you. Okay, but just before we do stop it, this isn't evidential, Mr. Bowman, but what I'd like to do is give you a copy of this form, which is the A405, which explains your notice of how to get hold of the tape. Okay, so I'm going to give that to you now and you can read that at your leisure. Okay, thanks. Okay, the interview is now being terminated. This interview is being tape recorded. The time is 16:11. That's 11 minutes past 4 in the afternoon on Thursday the 16th of February 1996. And we are in the interview room at Chelmsford Police Station. We are investigating the offence of unlawful possession of a prohibitive weapon, which is contrary to the Firearms Act. A record of this interview will be made and may be given in evidence if you are brought to trial. Do you understand the reason for your arrest? Yeah, that's fine. I understand. Okay, my name is Philip Bridge. I'm a detective constable stationed at police headquarters. Also in the room is Michael Brown, Detective Constable 744, also stationed at headquarters. Okay, Michael, if you could introduce yourself. Michael Scott Bowman. Okay, now I'm going to caution you now and say that you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Anything you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand? Yes. Right, Michael, we had an interview earlier this morning and you asked us to stop whilst you sought legal advice. Are you quite happy that you've had enough time to take legal advice? Yeah, I've had some legal advice. This morning we had a discussion about your knowledge and relationship with 3 persons. That's Mr. Tate, Mr. Tucker and Mr. Rolfe, who were subsequently killed. Is that correct? Yes. At this stage, we don't wish to develop that any further. But we would like to do is to discuss with you the reason why you're here. And as we indicated this morning, the allegation is that you were responsible for supplying them with a firearm. Yeah. Okay, so you've had some time to think about what we said and what we spoke about earlier. Is there anything that you wish to add? Well, basically, from what you're telling me, you knew that I met Craig in Forex Services. You told me that that's where I met him, in the services, but that was the day that I sold the car. I met him over there to sell the car. I told you that earlier. I took the car round to the car front. Craig then gave me a lift back to Pat's house to see Tony. I think as it goes, I had a bit of a dispute about the cheque. He already had 2 cars out on bail with Pat. They bought a Merc and a Range Rover, if I remember rightly. So I've been seen over that way on that day, and it's because of that. I went round there, discussed it. I mean, there was a couple of people pulling up when I was there. They seemed quite busy there. But I mean, that's all I can tell you. Okay, if we can just break that down, because obviously, you know, you've spilled it out to us, and that's because it's all going through your mind. Well, what I'm trying to say is that this is the day that I sold the car. The reason that I was over there was because of that reason. I was selling the car. I got into the Range Rover at Fobbin. They took, he gave me a lift round to Pat's house, I think it was. And his girlfriend was in the car. Donna. Is it Donna? His girlfriend? Craig Rolfe's girlfriend? Yes, it is. She was crying on the telly. She was in the car. I went round to the house. There was another fella there. I can't think of his name. He gave me a lift back. He had like a creamy coloured car. I think it was a Fiat or something. He gave me a lift back. Okay, what I want to do is, as I say, is to try and break that down because we want to contradict me. No, honestly, it's to break it down a little bit so that we can understand it in small chunks. Because as I say, you know you were there and it's a case that you've got it straight in your mind. What we need to do is to get it straight in our minds and anybody else. So if you just bear with me a little bit and try and help me along. Okay. As far as you can recall, when was it that this took place? I really can't remember the date. I can't remember the date exactly, but I think I've been over there a couple of times. I've been to his house, well, probably about 3 times. Pat, I mean. But I mean, the day that I sold the car, I met Craig at Forex Services. Okay, right. If we just take the meeting at the Forex Services, right? You know what day that was because you're telling me that you've seen me there. But Mr. Bowman, I'm asking you as you know how it went down. I don't know what date it was though. Okay, so if we just deal with the Thurrock services. Right, what car were you in? I was in the Corrada. Okay, were you on your own? Yeah. Was there any other person present? Craig and his girlfriend? What sort of time did you meet them? I really can't remember the time. I mean, this has gone on, it's over 3.5, 4 months ago now. I couldn't tell you the time. I know it was the daytime, it was daylight. Okay, was it morning or early morning? I think it was morning, not early morning, but I think it was 11ish. I can't remember though. You can't remember? Well, I can't, no. I can't be specific. I'm just trying to put you into some sort of time, whether it's morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening. I think it was sort of about dinner time. About dinner time, yeah. And you travelled from where? From Kent? From your home address, Michael? Yeah, in the Corrada. To take it to the fella, but I wasn't sure where it was. So you met Craig? Craig? Because he runs about for them, doesn't he? Yeah? Okay, how did you arrange to meet Craig? Well, Tony said, I think, to be there at a specific time. And Craig would be there. He gave me Craig's number, I think, and I rung it. Was that a landline or a mobile number? I think it would have been a mobile. Right, so you turn up there. Did you know what vehicle to be looking for? The Range Rover. Okay, then correct me if I'm wrong. You told us earlier that you were in that Range Rover. Prior to that date? Yeah. Were Craig and his girlfriend waiting in the Range Rover? No, I think they was in the service station itself, but I got out and walked over and they come walking out. He seen me, then I followed them to Fobbing. Okay, was there anybody else present at the time? No. Any other vehicles? No. Did you consider about if you were going to sell the car that you may need a lift back? Yeah, I did, yeah. But they said they'd get me back there. They had a friend of theirs over there that way. So there's yourself in the Corrada. Then there's Rolfe and his girlfriend in the Range Rover. Yeah. You meet them about lunchtime. And where do you travel to? To Fobbing, the car front. Right, is that near the Five Bells pub? You know, the one on the side. Okay. Would that be the Eastern Garages? I'm not really sure the name of the garage. I really can't remember. Is it the garage? It's like a little car front by the roundabout. On the opposite side. Okay, so you travel there and who leads the way? Craig led the way. What sort of speed were you doing? Well, I don't know. Was it a fast drive down there or a slow drive or... Well, I really don't know. I didn't tear down there. No? One last drive in the Corrada? No, it wasn't anything like that. You know, I got the car there. I don't know what time it was. He didn't give me the check straight away. Right, and if we just slow down there, Michael, so you're travelling in convoy? Yeah. Okay, and it goes to the Eastern Garages? Yeah. Where did the car stop? Where did you park? I parked it right up in the little road. There's like a little road, bit right by where his cars are. I parked it in there. And where was the vehicle? In front of or behind the Range Rover? I can't remember. I was behind him, obviously. I was following him. Okay, so you've got two people in the Range Rover and yourself in the Corrada. What happens then? Well, I get in the Range Rover with Craig. What was that for? Because I'm going around to see Pat and Tony now. Okay. Had you done the deal with the salesman? Well, give the fella a check. He was half moaning because he said he didn't really want to buy it and he was doing me a favour, you know, the usual car spiel. So I said, well, I'll come back and get the check, and I went round to see Pat because it's his friend. What were the rough circumstances of the deal at the garage then, Michael? Just go through that. Well, I don't think the fella wanted to part with the cash, to be honest. I mean, I don't think he wanted to buy any more cars, to be honest with you. That's what I thought at the time anyway. But, you know, we did the deal and then I went round to Pat's. So did you negotiate it with him? That's the whole point that we're getting to. Yeah, yeah. He saw the car and he was going to take it. Right. He wasn't happy. He was sort of, you know, just unhappy about it. But I got in the car and we went round to see Pat and Tony at Pat's house. Right, now slowly, where were you sitting in the Range Rover? I think I got in the back. And who was in the front? His girlfriend was in the passenger seat and he was driving. So you then drove from there? Mm-hmm. And did your business at the garage take very long? No, I wasn't there very long. I was coming back to collect the cheque, I think, if I remember rightly. So you then drive to Pat's house. And what was the purpose of that? I wanted to see Pat and Tone. I mean, I was over that way. Okay, and what did you want to see them about? Well, I want to get a lift home. I want to get home. I can't get home. I've got no wheels to drive. Okay, and I've got to collect the cheque as well. You know, I want to get home. One of them's got to give me a lift. It ain't illegal to have friends and go and associate with people, is it? No one's saying it is. But what I'm trying to do is to try and work out as you're telling me. Well, it ain't hard to work that out, is it? I've just told you I sold the car. I've got no car to get home. I'm going round there to see them to get a lift home. There's nothing going on. No, but could I suggest to you that Craig could have taken you from there straight home? No, he never. No, I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying that wouldn't it have been quicker rather than going to see the other two? Well, I wanted to see Pat and Tone. That's fine, okay. He was over there. He's only been out of prison a little while, hasn't he? That's right, so you drive to whose house? To Pat's house, the little bungalow. Okay, and when you arrived there, who's there? The black Merc was there. One of their mates pulled up, had a creamy coloured saloon car. I don't know what it was. Might have been a Saab, I think. Saab 9000, something like that. One of them sort of cars anyway. I got out, went in there to see him. Did you know him? No, the other fella. No, I can't remember. I think his name was Tommy or something. Tom or something like that. Little fella. Went in the house. I said, he's half-hooting about this cheque, Pat. Pat said, don't worry, I'll give him a call. Because I said to Pat, this fella's half moaning about not buying the car. He's rung him up, had a chat with him. And then he said he'd go round and collect it on the way. The other fella will give you a lift home. I think it's Tommy, his name. Got a Saab or a Fiat, creamy coloured Fiat. I come out and got in the car with him. And what's he look like then, Michael? Oh, only short, little fella, yeah. Age? Well, about 28. Young fella, I think one of their runabouts again. So who's in the bungalow when you arrive? Well, the Merc was there. I think Tony was there as well, because he had, there was another couple of guys. There was Tony and his old woman was taking their stuff out of the house. Patrick's old woman was leaving the house. She had loads of bags. She was taking all her stuff from the loft. Pat was lobbing her out. That's when I started to see their true colours, really. He was taking her stuff out of the house, all her clothes. I think it might have been her dad or her mum was there as well. So she was in the process of moving out. She's taking her stuff out, yeah. You know what it's like when you've got all that sort of stuff going on. I mean, I was only there probably 5 or 10 minutes, top whack. I come out of there with a little guy. He gave me a lift down to the garage to collect the cheque, then back home to Kent. So you collected the cheque from the garage at Fobbing. And then he dropped me back through. I went back through the Dartford Tunnel and got me home. That was Tommy. Yeah. All the way home? All the way. Now, you've had time to think about it, Michael. Can you remember the guy's name that you dealt with at the garage? Well, I know it's the governor of the car front. I seem to remember Tony saying that they took the Merc and the Range Rover off them. And I think they owed them money for the cars. So when I've gone over there to sell the Corrada, he was a little bit funny about the money. You know, but then Pat's rung up and it was all sorted out. Okay now, Mr. Bowman. Now, what I'm saying to you is that your account ties up around 95%, which is almost all of the account that we have. But there are some main areas where I'm suggesting to you that you haven't been totally truthful. Oh, well, I gathered it was going to be that way. No, but in all fairness to you, all I wanted to do was put some of those areas to you that we consider that you are either mistaken or possibly forgotten about, or that possibly that you don't want to tell us about for whatever reason. That's fair, isn't it? Well, I'm all ears. Okay, so when you arrived, and only you will know whether I'm telling the truth or not. Okay, when you arrived at Thurrock Services, it was to meet Mr. Rolfe and his girlfriend. Yeah, in the Range Rover. What I'm putting to you is that there was another person travelling with you in another vehicle. What do you mean? That you know there's another person in the car with me? No, in another car, another vehicle. So there's 3 cars there. There were 3 cars, hear me out. There was the Range Rover, yeah. There was your white Corrada, and there was another vehicle, right? And what I'm suggesting to you is that other vehicle was a Vauxhall Cavalier. No, you're mistaken, mate, you're wrong. I've just told you what's gone on, right? That's all I can tell you. Well, we've got to put what we've got to you. I know what you've got to say. Look, listen, okay? As I say, These are the areas that we are not really touching on at the moment, and it's only right that I put them to you. Well, you've got to go through it. Right, there is a Vauxhall Cavalier. With you. No way. Okay, and that in the Vauxhall Cavalier was a holdall. Right, and that holdall contained a firearm. Right. And the reason that Vauxhall Cavalier contained the firearm was because you were going to the meet and didn't want to run the risk of being stopped with a firearm on board. No, you're mistaken completely. This is completely wrong. At the Thurrock services. You met Rolfe, and what you say is correct. You then travelled in convoy with Rolfe driving the Range Rover in the lead, the Cavalier in the second position, and you at the back in your white Corrada. And you travelled, as you quite rightly say, to the Eastern Garages, to the Five Bells roundabout garage. What I'm also putting to you is that when you arrived at the garage, you parked, as you said, in that access road, right? In the order that you travelled there in convoy, you then removed a holdall from the Cavalier and placed it into the back of the Range Rover. What do you say to that? It's wrong. But what I'd like to do is show you the holdall, so there's obviously no mistake about it, Michael, what we're talking about. What you're saying is, I carried a holdall. I'm asking you, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you what you did and what you did there. Well, you're telling me, aren't you, that I'm 5% wrong in what I've already told you, 95% of it's the truth. What I'm saying is, you're telling me that you've seen me with a bag. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to tell me. You don't have to give me no opportunities. I've told you exactly what's gone on here. Okay. Right, hold on a second, Michael. Just have a look at this bag. That's the bag that we're saying that you had. A black and green bag. Well, look, I think that because you can obviously see the one that I'm referring to for the tape, it's exhibit GF/6, which is a holdall bag. Now this bag has been obviously treated for fingerprints. Oh right, yeah. Which accounts for part of the discoloration on the bag. As far as we can see, that is. I'll get out the bag, but it is a bit messy. Right. Okay, Michael, have you seen that bag before? Well, it's a sports bag, isn't it? I've seen loads of bags. Can't say I've seen that one. Well, no, that's why I'm asking you, Michael. Have you seen that bag before? Well, I can't say I've seen that bag before, no. No. So you haven't, right, okay. Because that's the bag that we're talking about, that we believe that the gun, the machine pistol, whatever you want to call it, that we'll show you a photograph of in a moment, that was in this bag. Look, I can't tell you nothing about the bag. Right, well, what we're putting to you, there's loads of sports bags about. They're everywhere. Fair enough, but what we're putting to you, I go to the gym 3-4 times a week. I've got about 4 different sports bags that I take to the gym. But we're not saying that, Michael. What we're saying, but I'm just saying, I know what you're saying. We're referring specifically to that. I can't say that I've seen that bag before. No. Right, okay, Michael. What we're putting to you is that this was the bag that was in the back of the Vauxhall Cavalier. In the back of the Vauxhall Cavalier. Right, okay. Yeah, so you understand that, Michael, don't you? I understand what you're saying, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so you're saying that you've never seen that bag before? No, I can't recall seeing the bag there. Okay, now what I'm going to show you now is a picture of the pistol. So obviously the tape can't see this, so I'm now showing you a picture of what we are referring to as the machine pistol. What, you're saying I supplied them with that? Hang on, just let me finish, please. This consists of the main basic body of the weapon, the moderator as they call it, or the silencer. It has a magazine clip here with a cartridge in it or a shell in it, and a quantity of shells around the bottom. I mean, obviously, if you wish to know the exact quantities here, I can tell you. But so that's the photograph. So that is the bag that we're saying contains that weapon that you have supplied to them on that date at the garage. No way. Have you ever seen this weapon before? I've never seen that before, no. It's amazing I've supplied that to 3 people who've been assassinated. Have I? Is that what you're saying? Yes. Basically, I've supplied that to 3 people who've been assassinated. That's right. Okay. And as I say, Michael, we believe that that weapon arrived in the Vauxhall Cavalier, and that was with yourself and a person who was acting as the gopher. Right. That was then taken, as I say, to the Eastern Garage. Well, what colour was the Cavalier? What colour are you saying this Cavalier is? Why, is that some problem? Well, no. I said to you earlier there was a car outside the house when I pulled up. the fella gave me a lift home. It was a creamy coloured sort of Fiat or Saab. Would it help you if you knew what colour it was? Is this just a little test to see if we do know Michael? No, I'm just saying, you know. Is it? I mean, if it's time to put the cards on the table, then it will be. If it's a testing question to find out. No, there's no question, there's no testing. There's no testing the questions at all in this interview. Right, Michael. The one that was there wasn't a creamy colour. The one that we're suggesting travelled in convoy. Well, no, I don't know what cavalier you're talking about then. Okay, when you got to the garage, what we're putting to you is that you got into the Range Rover, as you told us. But also put into the Range Rover was that bag, together with that weapon and ammunition that you've seen in the photograph. Well, I did not see that, because I went in to see the geezer about the car. I don't know what you're talking about, I really don't. I got out, I went to see the fella about the car. He had a little look at the motor, that's all I can tell you. I did not see no bag going in the Range Rover. I did not see no cavalier. So, no, I can't help you. I really can't. I really can't help you. Okay, Michael, now, why do you think, or perhaps you do know or don't know, why do you think that someone should implicate you with this illegal firearm? What, you mean, what's my opinion of why they put it on me? I really don't know. Well, it's quite a serious thing though, isn't it? Well, I mean, yeah, but for all I know, you might just be saying this, you might not have any information at all. Then again, you might have, but what I'm trying to say to you is, I'm not responsible. Right, Michael. For supplying that firearm to those 3 people who are now dead. Fine, okay, right, Michael. Let me just say that we have a statement from a person who isn't a police officer. Right. Containing the information that we have given to you. But I can't understand why they'd say that. Look, just let me finish. I'm answering your question now to obviously allay your suspicion. That we're either trying to trick you or it's a police ploy that we're actually in possession of that statement. That doesn't make me feel like that this is the truth, that person is obviously lying. So they're lying about the meeting at the Forex Services as well? Well, I'm not. No, because I haven't denied that. I've told you that I met them there. Yeah, I can't understand why they're saying I actually give them that thing. I never give them that. Certainly, Michael, because as far as this offence goes, that's fairly innocuous, isn't it? You know, like the circumstances of the meeting in relation to handing over that weapon. Well, I don't know now exactly what's going on. As far as I'm concerned, really, my solicitor's here. I've asked him to be here. I really can't help you no more. I've told you everything I possibly can about what I've remembered. I most certainly didn't supply them with a machine gun, even though there's a machine gun that you've just showed me. And one way or another, I don't really want to answer any more questions because I feel like I've explained everything I can up to this point. And, in all honesty, we're going around in circles now. No, we're not going around in circles. Well, I mean, you're basically calling me a liar. You're saying that someone's written a statement against me. No, Michael, what we're saying to you, and I don't really want to answer any more questions, to be honest. Look, Michael, we have a duty to investigate this offence, and we just want you to tell the truth. I've told you everything. Well, I've told you everything. I can't tell you no more. I can't tell you anymore. What I've told you is what I know went on. I did not supply them with a machine gun. I went over there, sold my car, and I came home. That's it. I'm not going to answer any more questions at this stage. Is that all right? Can I do that? That's fine. My client has requested to answer no further questions. He is quite within his right to do so. Okay, Michael, that's fine. No one's trying to make you say anything you don't want to say. But as we've pointed out to you, we obviously have information. This ain't got nothing to do with my previous convictions at all, has it? It hasn't entered into your head for one moment that I've got firearms on my phone, then coming round my way this morning, dragging me out of bed in my underpants and things like that because of my previous convictions. Right, to answer that, Michael, that as your solicitor will tell you and explain, that we're involved in quite a large inquiry. Oh, I know you are. And we are. I really understand that. I said that to you earlier. Right, Michael, okay. I appreciate that you've got to go through every angle to find out who killed these 3 people, because whoever, is a terrible, naughty person. The fella's dangerous. I understand that. But what I'm trying to say to you is you can't go around in circles trying to stick things on me. We haven't done that, Michael. Or someone has, put it on me that I supplied them with that because, their old man's dead or whatever, right? Okay, Michael, now before we conclude this interview, when we spoke to you originally, we asked you about your relationship with Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Yeah, well, I'm not going to answer no more questions at this stage, okay? But you can listen. When you originally told us, you said you were trying to distance yourself. I believe you said it wasn't a very deep relationship. It was just that you met them a few times. That's what you told us originally, and I'd be interested to know when the last time you actually spoke to any of them was. This has nothing to do with a gun, has it? All right, look, that's what I'm trying to say to you. I've answered the questions about myself. I don't really want to start asking or answering any more questions about anyone else. I spoke to Pat the day before it happened. They've rung me a couple of times. They always ring me a couple of times a week, but that's it now, no more. Did you leave a message on their answer phone? No comment.